men, and I use the term loosely. This is the follow-up video to the questions asked about the Devil is in the Detail video. And actually I had a couple questions on this. Guys want to know what was up with the clutch. Because I mentioned that the clutch did seem stiff. And I have a test I did on the clutch springs, and I think I'll insert that little video in here too. I got a postage scale over here. I got the clutch springs are in it, and I got it sitting in my hydraulic press. So we're going to squeeze this spring to the rather arbitrary number of 2 inches tall. $64. Interesting. So I got 3 springs. I got a 74, a 64, and what, a 47 was the other one? How do you know which is the right one? Anyway, the long and the short of it is this. I took the primary part, the clutch spring out, measured the spring tension of the clutch spring, and found that it was actually, I had 3 or 4 of them laying around here, and found that the one that was in his bike was actually lower than any of the other ones I had, so I left it in there. I got to looking at it, and this owner had aftermarket levers on there that were just a little bit shorter than a stock lever, and the fulcrum was farther away from the pivot point the cable pulled from than on the stock levers. And why I think the lever was hard to pull is because the geometry of the lever was wrong. And I have run into that a couple of times in the past. So if you're buying aftermarket levers, you got to somehow make sure that the pivots for the fulcrum and the point the cable pulls from are correctly located. If they're not in the right place, a couple of things could happen. Either A, the lever won't travel far enough to release the clutch, or B, the lever will travel more than it needs to, but be harder to pull. So that, I think, is what was wrong with that. I didn't change the lever because the clutch lever matched the brake master cylinder, and I'm sure he wanted them both to be the same, because who won't want them to be the same? That's a project for another day. All right, I got a bin of old clutch and brake levers. Many years, many models, who knows. Most of them are probably Harley. Some of them are probably not. Anyway, I grabbed these 2 levers out of this bin. If you take this lever and you line up this hole with this hole, and you lay them on top of each other, you might be able to see that this hole is closer to this hole than this hole is to this hole. In order to assist with this demonstration, I made this little mandrel so that I could precisely align the centers of these 2 levers. So there they are, precisely on center. You should be able to see in here, the centers are lined up, yet the pivot holes for the cable are not lined up. They're off by, at least probably 1/4 of an inch. Neither one of these is the lever that was on the guy's bike. This is just for example, okay? The lever on the guy's bike, I think stock would have been this one here. And the lever he had, this hole was even like more out here in this area. So the result of that is, well, let's start at the bottom. This lever will be easy to pull, but it won't move the cable as far, because the travel with the hole over here is not as great as with the hole over here. This lever will move the cable much farther, but it will be harder to move. So if you had one where the hole was out here, it would be yet even harder to move. And then enter into the equation that the end of the lever is a little bit shorter. You're going to have less leverage on the cable. But anyway, that's the version of what was going on with this particular bike. So I think his problem, geometry on the levers, was wrong. Comment about the crack in the brake drum. Yeah, I had never seen one crack like that before. Very interesting. Here's a guy, tire clearance may be an improper spacer on the axle. Yeah, it might be, but in this case it wasn't. The spacers were correct. The hub was correctly off-centered. That is, centered with the correct degree of offset as required by the manual. The tire was too fat. That's all there is to it. Here's a comment from a guy named Ed. Edzilla64. Big Ed is what he goes by. I watch his channel too. He's a good guy. He's been going through trials and tribulations with his iron head. Anyway, loved the brake tutorial and loved the trick with the spring. So much easier. Yes, that trick with the spring is worth the price of admission. That's for sure. Here's a comment from Tin Man. Scooter is typical of ones with a lot of shine and low operating time. So many details were incorrect, poorly done, or overlooked. I'll take a scruffy one that looks unmolested over a shiny one. He agrees with me on the tire. 110 by 90 is a good size. Nothing wrong with Shinkos. Bridgestone's made in Korea, uses lots of them. Personally, I stay away from them just because they're cheapest ones. I like Dunlop, but this guy has been around for quite a while, and I got to respect his opinion. Yeah, here's a guy, and and I've said this before. He put a 130 90 by 16 on there, and had to relace the wheel, which of course you have to do. First wheel the guy put on was in the middle and threw the tire away. Wow. Found a different guy, and he thinks the dish is too close to the right. He said it was as far as the spokes would go without bending. Yeah, that's entirely possible. Rework the fender struts so they pull the fender open. Yeah, that could work. Had to rework the spacers to get the tire in the middle of the fender. Had to make a spacer between the brake and the sprocket and the hub to get the chain further out, because otherwise the chain will rub on the tire. So yeah, depending on your setup, you might have to move the brake drum farther from the center to keep the chain from rubbing on the tire. So you got two problems. The tire will rub on the fender struts and the chain will rub on the tire. And then apparently he had been monkeying with the front sprocket, and he found out that if the sprocket is 23 or 24, it might be okay. Any bigger and the chain will take out the sprocket cover bosses. Yes, they will, and I know that for a fact. I believe 25 tooth sprockets are available, and yes, they will for sure saw through the sprocket cover. Even the 24s are not really a good fit. Here's a commenter, great video. The way things are going, I didn't think the video would ever end, and it was one thing after another. And boy, ain't that the truth. When you start digging into those bikes that are poorly set up, I'm sure, well, I would strongly suspect that since the previous builder didn't grease the rear wheel bearings, he probably didn't grease the swing arm bearings. I bet the steering stem bearings were untouched. I bet the front wheel bearings were untouched. You know, these things are 50, 60 years old these days. At some point, you got to look at all that stuff. Was hoping I'm going to mention the butt connectors. Now, I stayed away from the butt connectors. I showed you the one, that's all you get. And yes, another commenter, the more you dig, the more Easter eggs you find. Ain't that the truth? Here's a guy talking about the handlebars. Wanted to know whether I could just put a washer on there. Well, yeah, I could just put a washer on there, or I could just put the right size bolts in. How about that? And here's a commenter about Dunlop. He says he thought Dunlop closed the factory in the end of 2024, and that means there are no more American-made motorcycle tires these days. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Correct him if he's wrong. I have no idea. One of the things I was concerned about tires wasn't necessarily Dunlop. And I don't buy them just because they were made in the United States. As a matter of fact, I really had no idea where they were made. But one of the things that concerns me about tires were Avon tires. They went bankrupt about a year ago, and I like Avon tires. They make a 5.0 by 16 that just barely fits under a stock Sportster fender. Um, so I like to use those. They will fit, but they went bankrupt. They were, however, quickly bought out by another company, and I forget what that company was. Oh, here's another commenter. Says the guy is correct about the Dunlops, that they closed the New York factory, I guess, and they are no longer made in USA. Another commenter, previous shop mechanic was a hack. Yes, he was. That reminds me of a story. I'll give you a quick story. I was a service manager at a small aviation FBO at one time, and one of the guys that worked there was kind of a clusterfuck, to be polite, and he would do stupid shit. And I'll try to make this quick. I was walking past him in the hangar one day, and he had like a 24-ounce mini sledgehammer with him, and he was walking towards an airplane. And I didn't think too much about it at first glance. At second glance, I says, "Hey, what are you going to do with that sledgehammer?" He says, "Well, the screws are stripped on that wingtip over there, and I thought I would hammer the heads off." Granted, the screws were only number 6s or number 8s, but the wingtip was made out of plastic, and the end of the wing was 20 thousandths aluminum. You ain't going to hammer the heads off. You're going to destroy the wing. One other time, he was drilling a broken exhaust pipe stud out of a head, and he had never used it before. I got it set up for him. I showed him how to do it, and I says, "You have to be very, very, very careful. The one thing you don't want to do is break a drill bit off in the head." 15 minutes later, he walks up to me and says, "Hey, you never guess what I did?" I says, "Oh, yeah, I will. You broke the drill bit off in the head." He said, "Yeah." And a while after that, he was working on an airplane and doing a landing gear retraction test. And I was sitting in my office, and the airplane was right outside my door. And I heard the landing gear motor running, and it went, kapow. And I stuck my head around the side of the door just in time to see one of the wheels swinging in the breeze. And that, of course, is a bad thing. Shortly thereafter, I talked to the guy, and I said, "Hey, have you ever considered working in another field, like maybe insurance salesman or something? You just ain't cut out for airplane mechanic, you know." And we fired him. I fired him. It's sad, but Jesus Christ, the guy did damage. Here's a guy, a commenter, John. And John volunteered to test my clutch worm a couple of videos ago. It was mailed to him, and he should receive it today. Yeah, today is Monday. He's supposed to get it today. So hopefully in another, I don't know, a month or two, I'll have a little report on how it's doing. He also was wondering about the stiff clutch pull. Wants to know if I have a set of extra buckhorns for sale. He's got a left one that's a little bit bent. I do not. The set that was on this particular bike got sent back to the owner. And he talks about braided inner cable. That probably would be smoother, but the trouble with the braided wire instead of the solid wire is the return. The solid wire pushes the throttle physically open and closed, whereas the braided one relies on spring tension. So if it does not operate very, very freely, it might not close the throttle. And I got another story about riding a bike with a stuck throttle wide open. That's another story for another time. Here's another guy, beautiful, valuable aluminum rim. Yeah, those aluminum rims are nice. They really are. The trouble with them usually is they're very, very soft, so they dent easily. I think they have to be soft because if they were hard at all, they would crack. So the softness gives before it cracks. But yeah, those are nice wheels. I like them shined up. Another guy, same guy, Phil. '72 Sportster, most beautiful motorcycle ever made, in my opinion. Yeah, well, it's hard to pick an ironhead that I don't think is beautiful. Here we go. Please don't take this the wrong way. So, of course, you're a little suspicious. You're an older guy. It's okay, I'm an older guy. I know that because I'm an older guy too. When you finally decide to retire, there won't be an older guy like you looking after this kind of shitty craftsmanship. God help us all. There's some truth in that. What I see the newer generation of guys doing with these ironheads is, the bikes are brutal bikes. They will torture you if you let them, but they depend on fine adjustment. A nicely tuned and well-adjusted machine is a joy to behold. You let them get out of whack, timing, carburetor, brakes, clutch cable, valves. They will make you pay. So yeah, and I think it's us old guys that have spent a lifetime learning the subtleties who definitely have an edge on that. And yes, the bike has the spring throttle return now. He wants the handlebars too. Don't butcher them. Well, like I say, they're back with the owner right now. And the last comment, guys that worked on that bike need to work on their attention to detail. Indeed they do. And that's the whole story on most motorcycles, any bike. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. It's the attention to detail that makes all the difference. Anyway, I am out of here. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you later. Bye. Men, if you like this channel and this content, the single most important thing you could do to help grow this channel is to hit the subscribe button. I also have new design coffee cups and stickers available. I like the old coffee cups, but I like these new ones even more. Links are included in the description down below. And for those of you who really want to go the extra mile, you could join me on Patreon. Link is also included in the description down below. And to all of you who have watched these videos, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much. I really, really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Bye.